I am Beardmohbox, and I've now done 2 videos on Madden 12. One looking at how much certain players improved, and one looking at how much they got worse. And whilst doing all this, obviously I was coming back to Madden 12 on my Xbox and looking at the rosters and things like that, and all I really wanted to do was look at my old franchise modes, and I thought I'd save that for this video, so I haven't looked at them yet. This is the first time I'll be seeing some of these, and I do have a problem though. I go here into franchise mode, I've gone this far, and I come here. It's taken a while to load, as you would expect on an older console, but then here, as you can see, the last time I played it was the 24th of August in 2012. Now, it's a lot of franchises, and I've gone through some of these at the top. I haven't found any of my main ones yet, but I've gone through some of these, and it's an Eagles franchise that's got like 5 games on it, a Falcons franchise with 5 games, a Cardinals franchise with 1, just a bunch of different teams, a Titans franchise with 2 games on it or something. I've just done so many. I keep clearly playing a couple of games, going nah, and then changing to a new one. Now there are some bigger ones. This one I did accidentally have a look at already when I was trying to do this before, and it messed up a little bit. And then basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the name of the save file. So like this one is February 09, and then look at the save date, and obviously there I can see the amount of time between them. This is a good one. This is about a month worth of playing on this save, so this has got to be a decent one. And the All-Pro one we'll look at first. Now the All-Pro one is a Jacksonville Jaguars franchise. Record 9-0, and I think the reason it's called All-Pro is because that was the difficulty I was playing on. And now nobody laugh, but my star quarterback, of course this was Blaine Gabbert's rookie year, 2,500 yards in 9 games, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Don't know what else he's done. A completion percentage of 53, which actually is probably the most realistic stat of all of those. We're going to rushing. Maurice Jones-Drew, 1,111 yards, a 5.8 average, 14 touchdowns. Blaine Gabbert here has been running about a bit too. And then we've got Rashad Jennings and like 8 rushes from Greg Jones. But pretty, for 9 games in, and Maurice Jones-Drew is already over 1,100 yards, so he's well on pace to break the all-time record, so good for him. On to receiving, obviously no Allen Robinson or Allen Hurns back in these days. Instead, we've got Chastain West, 732 yards for him, 7 touchdowns. Mercedes Lewis, 401 yards. Mike Thomas, 532, and a couple of other contributors down here. But, it's a whole different picture right here with all these receivers. Maurice Jones-Drew, as well as pretty much being on record pace, he's got a couple of receiving yards too. Let's take a look at the defense. Our star player pretty much here is Terrence Knighton. 13 tackles for a loss, 7 sacks. But then we've got Jeremy Mincey with 5 sacks, and he's injured now. And a bunch of guys with a decent number of sacks. 7 sacks for 9 games, remember. He may well break a record too, who knows. Then we go on to interceptions, and I loved interceptions on these games. I used to put the user interception rating thing up to like 70, 80, so I got a bunch of them. I used to play Madden as, Rasheem Mathis, 4 touchdowns. So 5 defensive touchdowns already to this point, and it's 9 games into the season. I mean, it's looking good for us. But back at this time, I used to play Madden as a video game. Nowadays, I try and make it as realistic as possible. I try and keep the stats realistic. I try and keep transactions realistic. Back then, it was just pile on the stats on everybody and see how much they can grow. So we move on to this next franchise mode, which has almost got an entire month on it, which, when you consider most of these are like 3 days old and I move on to the next one, is pretty long, so I'm interested to see what this is actually. It's Seahawks Franchise Year 2, Week 15, so that is a deep one indeed, so we can definitely look at some things here. Let's have a look at the depth chart. Oh wow, there's already some very interesting things here, but Colin Kaepernick, no idea how he ended up on my team, but I seem to remember something. I'm pretty sure I traded for him actually. So, and don't forget that Russell Wilson wasn't in the game at this point, so I wasn't doing him a dirty there. Tavares Jackson was the best guy for us. I completely forgot I used the Seahawks. Bruce Miller, apparently I'm just bringing over the entire 49ers team. Sidney Rice when he was still good. Doug Baldwin. I got my rookie here, Austin Lloyd playing. 70 overall, don't know why I'm playing him at left guard. Oh, and an 80 overall rookie. I was about to say that's pretty good, but then you see a 73 overall. I'm pretty sure at this point I used to slightly cheat on the draft. Because you used to be able to a lot easier find out like how good the players actually were online. There were lists and stuff for them. I don't know if it still does that. I haven't checked in a while, but yeah, I wasn't the most honest drafter in the world, so I wouldn't give myself too much credit there for picking up a decent centre. We've got a bit of an injury disaster here. We've got Chris Clemens and Raheem Brock both injured. Right end's much better. That's all right there. So apparently we're just not playing with any left ends. KJ Wright there, 83 overall. Another good rookie. And you also used to be able to cheat on this where you could trade your first round pick for another team's first, second and third round pick. Your second for a second, third, fourth. So you used to be able to pile up picks. I probably did that too, considering how many guys we got here. I started it in February, so this probably was based off of like the end of year updates. So Richard Sherman's an 83 overall after a year of playing with him as well. Brandon Brown is there an 87. Mac is True Fun, who I always like the most, and another great rookie there. Really not proud of my own cheating there with the draft, but you know, when you play for just video game reasons, you cheat a little in the draft. It's just what you do. But I would say, and mostly based off Colin Kaepernick's inclusion here, a pretty darn interesting franchise here. Now let's take a look at some of the season stats for these guys since I've been playing with them. So obviously we're quite deep into this one, but Colin Kaepernick, 3,900 yards, 29 touchdowns. High number of interceptions actually there. Marshawn Lynch, 1,200 yards. Colin Kaepernick rushing for 400. On the receiving end, Sidney Rice, 900 yards. Baldwin, 1,000. Golden Tate, 900 yards. Zach Miller, 500. Marshawn Lynch, 460. Obviously, like I said, video game numbers never went for realism back then. 6 sacks for Clemens, 4 for Mebane, 3 for Hawthorne, a bunch of sacks everywhere. Loved sacks, loved intercept. And 7 interceptions for Hawthorne, 7 for Trufant, 6 for Thomas, 5 for Sherman, 4 for Chancellor. That's just insane. And here we find the Colin Kaepernick trade. So we traded Max Unger to the 49ers for Kaepernick, which, to be fair, is a pretty good trade. I don't know how that came about, actually. I don't think I would have searched for that one myself, but that's a very interesting trade there. I mean, it's one they ended up making not for Kaepernick, for a different player, so Max Unger was expendable in that case. Let's just say that if I would have been the Seahawks head coach, I would have won a Super Bowl too, right? Right? So that does it for my franchise modes on Madden 12. There weren't really any others with long campaigns. I did want to go on my Madden 16 one too and like show the more realistic things I do now, but that would have made this video like a 15-minute video and I didn't want that. I hope this was interesting. It was definitely obviously interesting for me because these are my franchise modes, but I thought maybe it makes you think about your franchise modes, and it's also interesting just to see how things developed differently back then, what was seen as realistic, and I don't know, how did you guys used to play Madden 12? Certainly for me, I just played for the numbers.